So guys, if you can't tell, we're getting started with our terrarium maintenance. So the first thing I thought we'd do is look at the terrariums that just need like a bit of trimming and that sort of thing, and then we can get into the ones that need actual like full-on revamps. Link at the top of the description will be for the last video I did, which was the terrarium update, and there I went over all sort of the growth and like certain ones that had failed and why they failed, that kind of thing. And in this video we're just going to be sort of trimming up certain ones, adding new plants to others, removing dead moss, all that kind of thing. So let's just get started with it. Okay, that's 2 terrariums maintained. This one we just ripped out a little dead piece of moss, and this guy we just did a big old trimming and a nice wipe down. Now I know some of you are probably thinking, you know, you left this lichen patch in the front here that's completely dead. Well, the lichen's alive, but the moss is dead, and that's precisely why I left it, because the lichen looks cool. And turning around, obviously there are dead patches on the moss here, but I mean it's all grown back, so I don't see any issue with it. But yeah, those are our 2 first terrariums maintained. I'll probably chuck some of this pothos in a filter to hope it'll grow some roots. But yeah, now let's move to terrariums that actually require, you know, proper revamps. Now this one is probably one of my healthiest terrariums. I mean, just like look at all the life in it. I mean, you have your dead bits of moss, but they're actually coming back to life, which is quite cool. However, I think it just needs something, and I'm going to try to figure out what that is over the next few minutes. I do have something in mind, and I'm going to try it out. And if you see it in the video, then it worked. If you don't, then pretend it never happened, I guess. Ooh. Alright, already I think adding the asparagus fern is an improvement. Plus, it wasn't doing too well. I think I mentioned in the update video because we looked at all my other plants and stuff. And I think adding it in here will give it that humidity it requires. Plus, Sarah, my girlfriend, speaking of which, we're going to have some videos at her house soon. Possibly including a self-sustaining pea puffer setup, but let's ignore that for now. I definitely think this will be good for the asparagus fern and good for the terrarium, and I'm going to try to add the rest. My only issue is, you can see the soil layer is quite thin, so hopefully that's not an issue. I guess it can just root down into the dirt. Okay, that's definitely looking way better. Now this terrarium actually has some like life to it, you know, plus my asparagus fern will hopefully not die. You can see it from the top here. I'm going to collect a few bits of moss from outside just to cover up the dirt patch. And I'm going to leave the somewhat dead pieces actually because they have been growing life off of them. And I think we'll just let it sort of re-overtake itself. So yeah, I'm just going to grab some moss. Maybe I'll just stick some Java moss. I don't know. I'll figure something out and then I'll tell you guys. Yeah. Alright, here's my haul of stuff I got outside. Just a bunch of moss we're going to use to plant some of these terrariums. And a fern. So I'm just going to finish up this guy and then I'll check back with you guys when it is done. Well, Cash, I bet if you're in the video, it'll get more views. Don't you think? Maybe you can save this channel from having terrible camera work and editing. Woo! Alright, I put some of the liverwort there, and I'm actually leaving the dead moss, as I said. Moved up that mushroom a bit. I don't really like using fake things, but in this case I actually like it. It looks like a little enchanted, like, growth sort of thing. I'm actually quite happy with how this looks. Look at the top, you can get a nice look. For those of you that didn't see the update video, go watch it right now, but I don't know, here you can see like all the weird growth on the back end. Interestingly enough, this kind of reminds me of Serpa Design's terrarium in an aquarium. This is what it looked like when he pulled it out, but he said it smelled bad and wasn't doing well, but this one definitely seems to be. I realize the dirt layer is way too thin in here. Might have to do something about that in the future, but we'll see how this thing does. And now I'm just gonna mist it down and then we'll move on to the next terrarium. Yeah, you can see this one's pretty much dead except this one plant, and I think this, from now on, or at least for a few of these in the video, I'm just gonna do them and then like cut to when they're done and you guys can get a little before and after, because you don't just want to watch time lapses of me doing it non-stop. I think that's kind of boring. I like to mix it up, get a bit of variety in here. So yeah, I'm just gonna rip all the moss out of this one, and then yeah, I'm gonna leave the hardscape how it is because I like how it is. So I'll see you guys in just a bit. Besides, this means I can watch some Family Guy clips while I do it, and it also means the video won't be as long. Okay, there we go. The little bottle terrarium from IKEA, I might add, is finished. We've got a fern in here. Hopefully it lives. Ferns tend to not transplant too well, so hopefully it does okay. But yeah, I'm really liking how this guy looks. So yeah, that's another terrarium done. And then now we'll move on to some of the other ones, I guess. I don't really know how else to segue into that. So yeah, let's get going. Now this one's major issue is it actually got dried out, and that's because I had taken off the gasket because I wanted to use it for my Terrarium project, but that was long before I actually started it. Now because I eventually decided that Terrarium would do better without it, means we can actually put it on now. So now that should hopefully keep the moisture in. And this one is going to be another one that we don't do too much to. I'm just going to be like, you know, move the wood back into position. There, that looks good. And then just kind of replace the moss and maybe get a new fern in there. Strangely, the deadness of this one kind of makes a cool like autumn aesthetic kind of thing going on, but I want to bring it back to life, so I'm going to get going with that. And it's just nice to have these little bits of nature in the room, you know? Oh, look at the Swamparium, looking great. Alright, I'll get onto this then. So that's another terrarium done. I don't actually think it needs a tall plant in it. I might add one in the future, but right now I kind of just like how this thing looks. You know, it's like a little overgrown forest area you stumbled into and there's a dead snail. I don't really know. But I do like how this one looks, so I think we're just going to leave it at that, and maybe I'll add a plant later, but for now I like how this looks. I realize I broke up the flow with the last one, but this was the third terrarium made in the Terrarium Trio video, along with those two up there. So yeah, I guess we'll redo this one next, because it just seems fitting. This one just got dried out. I can't remember why. I guess I didn't put enough water in it. And it did start to have greenery show back on it, but then it just completely died off. So now it's just a little ball of dead moss, but we got a bit of moss left here. Figure we might as well replant this one. And I realize this video is going to be way too long, so I'm probably going to split it up into two parts. So in this one we did 1, 2, 3, 4. We did like 5 terrariums in this, or no, 6 now. And then the next one will be the rest. I don't know. I think there's 17 actually, so maybe it'll even be 3 parts. We'll see how it goes. I'll just get to doing this one again. Just gonna cut to when I'm done because I don't want to be redundant. Alright, this guy's dirt layer was looking pretty thin, so I went ahead and added some from our asparagus fern pot. And yeah, now it's ready to be planted, and then I'm gonna just be reusing the very simple hardscape, these 2 rocks here, and the pine cone. So yeah, I'm just gonna do this guy, and then I'll see you guys when it's done. Alright, I'm really liking the hardscape and just the scape in general on this terrarium. We've just got some basic mosses I found outside. It's all, as far as I'm aware, the same species. There's a bit of grass in there unintentionally. I don't know how that's going to do. But I just like the gravel. This is the same gravel in the swamparium up there. And I just used some excess, you know. And I quite like how this one looks. And I just misted it and everything. And yeah, that's going to end off part 1, I think, of my terrarium revamp. So yeah, I'll catch you in the next one where we continue revamping terrariums. Alright, I'll see you guys then.